My name is Grant Haska, lead our solutions engineering team for North America for DJI Enterprise. So excited to talk to you all today about some of the new products we have this year. So throughout the beginning of this year, it's been very busy on the DJI side. Had a whole host of new products, starting off with the Matrice 4 series. You can see in the middle of the table here. Foldable, quick to deploy, small size. Definitely beneficial for surveying and mapping side of the house, or a public safety looking for something smaller that can definitely fold up there. From there to the right here, we got the Dock 3 as well, currently open up with the Matrice 4 dock version sitting inside it. So same exact payload as the Matrice 4, but you can see we have the fixed arms on that drone, IP rating, a little bit longer flight time, and built to work inside or out of the docking station as well. And then finally, just last week, we announced our new Matrice 400 version, which is our new flagship large drone version. Longer flight time, more powerful payloads, and a whole new obstacle sensing built into that drone itself. So, and the Sense now is kind of our new generation of aircraft, certainly still supporting a Mavic 3 Enterprise, the Matrice 30. Between the smaller Matrice 4, the medium-sized Matrice 4 dock version, and the M400. Really excited to show you kind of what some of these new capabilities are across the product line here. So Van's helping us get connected on some slides and HDMI here. But in the near term, just wanted to give you a quick intro to the M400 itself. You can see right away with the drone, one of the things you'll notice is on top of the aircraft itself is we have that LiDAR sensor built into it there. It gives the drone 360-degree field of view as it is flying and operating. And that go ahead and work with the millimeter wave radar that's on all 6 sides of the aircraft. So built into all 5 sides of the aircraft. And then also one of these you see on the left side, that'd be the upward millimeter wave radar. We added these new technology to the drone just for the different type of scenarios you'll encounter as a drone pilot. The LiDAR helps us detect power lines down to 17 millimeters, I should say, when flying. So that would be like your distribution lines. While you can fly up to 25 meters per second with the drone and still detect those lines and either make a path around them automatically or simply have the drone stop. Something like the radar works better when you have the conditions as you do here, like fog or other inclement weather may roll up. That can be a bit tougher for the LiDAR and the visual cameras. That radar is able to penetrate those challenges like fog to still provide a clear obstacle sensing picture for the drone. So combined with the IP rating of the drone itself, really excited about all of that obstacle sensing working together to keep the drone going there. See in the presentation here as well, we'll just some notes there, but we'll keep the presentation slides to the minimum and keep the more to the flying and live demo here shortly. But with the M400, it's compatible with that newer version of DJI payloads with our newer Skyports on them. So that's the P1 we have there, the L2, the H30T, our S1 Spotlight, the V1 speaker, and then our new manifold computing system as well. We talked about the sensing system of the aircraft, but the other big upgrade is with the single battery, able to fly for 59 minutes, going from 100 to 0 with a single payload on the drone. So in my experience, your effective flight time is going to be around 45 minutes, making sure to come back and land with sufficient battery, as well as the tough conditions that can drain your battery a little bit faster there. But your top line battery life there up to 59 minutes there with the drone itself. Have the single payload mount on there right now. Can put up to 3 payloads on there. So something like a H30T speaker and a spotlight can all be on there as well through specific gimbal ports. Does support expansion as well. So if you wanted to add something like AVSS parachute, some lights as well, you can connect up to 7 payloads when you start to bring in the third-party ecosystem there as well. For the range of the drone, one of the new items we have is an additional operating band for the remote controller. So if you stop by the booth later, you'll see an additional antenna on the back of the M400 remote controller. And that here in Canada will be operating in the 900 megahertz band. So for areas where you do have obstacles or other challenges in your drone transmission, you have the flexibility of using the 2.4, 5.8, 900 megahertz, as well as the ability to use 2 different SIM cards with the drone. So you can automatically switch to whichever has the better reception on those different carriers. One thing I did want to show that we weren't able to pull together here today, I think Van did a lot, but he was not able to give us a lake and a boat. One of the cool features with the 400 is you can actually land it on a moving boat. So just a quick example here, we have essentially a print for a landing pad that the drone's going to be able to recognize. That one would need to print out, and you can see, put this onto a boat deck here. From there, you're going to enable the boat launch mode, and that turns off the obstacle sensors for the takeoff and landing part of your operations. Obviously, as you get closer to a deck, a moving ship, you want those sensors off for the landing side of the house. But we can see that setting here and can see the takeoff of the drone itself. Want to get the drone up and out as fast as possible because the drone has GPS. It's going to stay in one fixed location while the boat can keep moving. So you don't want to get smoked by a railing. So getting the drone up and off the deck here using the upgraded max ascent speed of the drone at 10 meters per second. From there, start to think about as you're flying, right? My home point is all of a sudden becoming the open water here, right? So one of the other features we added was the ability to continuously update your home point to the remote controller's location. It's not going to be exact, obviously, to the pad on the deck, but it at least gives you, if you did have a disconnection, the drone coming back to you and a much better chance of reestablishing that connection. We talked about why you won't lose connection, but just in case, it's obviously nice to have that. So quick, clip here in the bottom right, you can see as the boat's moving, the home point continues to move with it. And sorry, I know maybe tougher to see the screen for some here. But then when it comes to landing the actual drone itself on the deck, you'll be able to simply select a landing recognition option on the controller itself, and will automatically land itself on the pad and the boat itself. So I know we just had a couple videos here there for that, but one of the cool ones weren't necessarily able to demo live today. With these kind of new suite of aircraft here, we have a lot of new options and settings for flight. So was going to take off the Matrice 4 here for you all to go ahead and see that. So go ahead and power up the Matrice 4 here and plug that into HDMI. But what things we've added with these aircraft remote controllers, a lot more processing on both the remote controller and the drone itself. So obviously you're always going to need a pilot in the loop, as that currently is 1-to-1, as we look to the future, 1-to-many. But what we want to start doing with the ability to have more processing power is aiding the pilot in your operations. So as one is flying, starting to think about flagging things for the pilot themselves, thinking about it as a bit of an assistant, right? We're starting to see assistants pop up in different parts of life now with all of the improved processing, and we're trying to bring that to the drone side itself. And run through a couple of the new features brought to the series here. So you'll see this on the 400, the 4D, and the 4 as well. The first one is adding a AR overlay to see the data from the map on the remote controller screen. What we heard from pilots, whether they're doing utility inspections, whether they're responding to a fire, is they wanted to be able to better communicate to team members where exactly they were in space without having to toggle over to the map. So we we are overlaying the streets and any data we have from our map provider, Map Tyler, here on the map. And you can see kind of names of buildings here on campus, the streets themselves, so one can easily communicate location information to other team members during operations. Can kind of dial that in to be what you want, either showing less or showing more. Next one up here would be if you have, let's say, a specific location you're trying to get to. Maybe it is, a outage that has been flagged and you're trying to get the drone to that specific pole or location, or a last known location here. Using the map itself, we can go ahead and drop a pin, and we've added the feature to fly directly to that pin. So we can see the fly to destination point, and you got a nice little green runway for the drone itself to fly directly to the location we've gone ahead and marked on the map itself. So you can see that automatic flight to the location as well as on our map. A nice overlay there to get exactly to our location of choice. Building on that, after getting to the location, if we're thinking of something more along the SAR side of the house, go ahead and bring the drone down to the woods here. We talked about enabling more capabilities with the AI of the drone. So go ahead and turn on that visible light recognition there, and you can see as we actually yaw the drone itself, go ahead and flag different people, either with a alert, you can see the kind of flashing red there, or a mark. But one of the neat things here as well is you can go ahead and enable the ability to cruise control. So I can tap that right here, just like your car. We're going to go ahead and set a speed. Just go fairly slow for now. And the drone will just go ahead and stay at the specific speed we have selected, while you can go ahead and then steer the drone kind of looking horizontally, in this case at the path, while it may flag any detections of what it thinks may be a person, car, or boat. So we can have it kind of come horizontal to us, looking into the wooded area, and then we'll generally sweep over the crowd here, and you can see the alerts start to go much more there with all of the people here. Go ahead and stop the cruise control there. Swap back over, and you can see we have a estimated count. We can turn off the alert so it isn't quite as convoluted on the screen. So if you're looking to do a general count of a parking lot or of people there, have the AI features supporting that as well. One positive on the search side as well is what we call our observed view feature, giving you a recording option in the bottom left. But we hear from pilots, we want to know where we've looked on scene. So one of the ways to do that is the observed view. You can see, it's a bit harder to see on the map right there, but as we're looking with the drone, moving the gimbal, let's go ahead and paint the map yellow. We'll swap back over to our standard, but you can see it's actually painting the map yellow where the drone is looked. So when you start combining these features like the AI detection, the cruise control, the ability to track where we've looked, as well as real-time terrain follow, it starts to be a nice assistant for you as a searcher in this case, or if you're trying to run a drone down lines for inspections as well. So not too much terrain here, but that is one of the improved features across all of these drones, is the ability to use the visual cameras on board. With the 400 here, we have the 4 visual cameras up top, and the 400 is going to be the only drone we have with those being in full color. You can see on the 4T here, we can pop open that vision assist cameras, and those are black and white. But using those visual cameras is what allows the drone to follow the terrain in real time. So we can go ahead and enable that feature here. And we're just a little bit low for it. Get a tad higher. But obviously we're very flat here right now, but as you fly the drone, it's going to automatically adjust its terrain for you, so you as the pilot don't have to worry about moving it exactly up and down. Last thing I wanted to hear, just kind of some of the new on remote controller software features, is the ability to quickly estimate distances and area. With the laser rangefinder on board the drone, or with something like the H30T, one can quickly tap an area and say, okay, how far away are we here from at the booth? Let's go ahead and draw a 3D line, checking off our location here. And then measuring to, we could even say, the soccer goal here. And we can get an estimate there, right, about 34-meter distance. And you can see that in AR as well. So if you're trying to communicate to team members how far away they are from something maybe you're seeing on the thermal view, on the visible view, you have the capabilities to do that with the laser rangefinder itself for distance or area. Yeah, so definitely some of the new features there. Other things to note if you are more on the inspection side of the house. Obviously the visual cameras, we have the 1, 3X, and 7X. So that nice medium level zoom certainly helps on the inspection side of the house. And then if we go into our infrared camera, something we probably can't see, but if we actually go into our temperature measurement settings, you can see that the drone is taking into account the actual ambient temperature around it to go ahead and improve the accuracy of the temperature readings on the screen itself. So you can see right now that in the temperature measurement, our temperature is at 63 degrees. So it's taking that into account. If we go ahead and turn that, 83 degrees, kind of our hottest temperature there. If we just set this to kind of a default of 90 or something, you can see that totally changes the temperature reading that is appearing on the screen. So ambient temperature sensor on board the Matrice 4s, as well as the H30T, helps improve the accuracy of your infrared temperature measurements or detections that you may have as well. You can see here in the top right, possibly, but we do have our gain modes here as well. And one of the new ones there we have is a high res gain mode. So obviously you're going to set the gain mode to what kind of temperature levels you're looking at. High res takes away your temperature measurement capabilities, but gives you more granular details on the actual thermal information itself. So at this point, we'll go ahead and have the drone return back to base here, but we can see the dock camera right now. We're going to go ahead and enable remote debugging and just take a few seconds there. Don't have a ton of room to run here, but the Dock 3 itself over there, just talking through a bit on the hardware side of the house. If you do get a chance to stop by and see it, you'll see a white H on the landing pad and the lid, and those 4 white triangles on the lid itself. That helps the drone when it's coming in for landing use visual detection capabilities to view the landing location of the drone. It combines that with the RTK capabilities of the drone and RTK module, that little white dish on the front of the Dock 3 there, for positioning accuracy. And then it will also map the location with the visual sensors during takeoff and landing, so it can use that visual SLAM to ensure a safe landing as well. For those of you around the Dock 3, if you wouldn't mind taking a few steps back, just for folks to get a chance to see. Oh, you can close it up here, you can close it there. Thank you, Van. I think good to turn off. Thank you very much. So on top of the drone, the dock itself, you can see the nice slanted roof. Was definitely thinking of folks in Canada with that, actually, helping to avoid the lid itself accumulating ice on the top of it. That slanted roof helps freezing rain run off. We also have a heated seal there to ensure the lid isn't going to be stuck closed, as well as 2 times the heating power and increased cooling capabilities for the dock itself as well. I'm sure everyone would like to see a takeoff here. So one of the first things we're going to do is come over to our flight route library and take a look at our route for today. So just going to run a basic mapping mission. Those of you familiar with drones are probably very familiar with that. But from our task plan library here, we're running everything remotely. You can think about the remote controller. It's now living on my computer. I'm connected to the internet. The dock is connected to the internet, so I'm able to communicate there. Go ahead and give it a plan name here of map. We're going to select our flight route of the model. I'm going to select the device, the Dock 3 here. We're going to run it immediately. Can set up things on a recurring basis. And then we're going to return to home after the flight's done. So I'll go ahead and say OK to run the flight. And I want it to return to home at 50 meters is OK. Go ahead and upload that to the dock, and we'll take off here shortly. You'll notice how quickly the drone can take off with the RTK module outside of the dock. Can take off in as little as 10 seconds from sending the go command there. So propeller spinning up, and it'll go out of the dock there at a quick speed. And then we have a live view here on the map of our dock and drone location here. So you can see dock is going up. It's going to get a RTK fix and then go ahead and continue to its flight route. Go ahead and pull in the map data here so you guys can track it along here as well. So we can see our drone operation here and can see the live flight route here. Just a couple flight lines, but as it's flying, you can obviously monitor that from the command center and view the live feed of the drone as it runs that mapping mission. Completing that and coming back to the dock itself. So the idea here being, if you're going out to a fixed site on a regular basis, being able to put the dock out there and run your mission is a nice plus. Instead of having to go out to the site on a regular basis, can run that remotely with the proper beyond visual line of sight permissions to capture data. For the dock itself, definitely thinking about BV loss with all of the software features of it. One thing you can see on the screen as well is a set operations area that the drone itself cannot leave. So we do have that nice set operational volume for operations there. You can see the drone's looking at the H on that landing pad itself as it comes in for a landing. And will put itself back on the pad. Slides to the middle there. And then the propellers and the motors slowly spin. So the dock doors themselves will catch the propellers and keep them within the dock itself. The second mission we're going to run is more along the lines of a security patrol. So with a lot of use cases folks are deploying the dock for, what we find is kind of stacking a second use case on top helps provide a better return on investment by having an additional use case for the dock, and obviously security around a site or an area is a big plus there. So what we can actually do now with any of these drones through a mapping or waypoint area is set up what we call intelligent recognition. So I'm going to go into the waypoint mission here I planned earlier just to show you all what that looks like. Very detailed waypoint mission planning here in Flight Hub 2, where you can actually see in 3D where the drone is going to fly. But in a nutshell, we're using that onboard processing we showed earlier, where the drone is able to recognize people, cars, boats. And we're saying, hey, during this waypoint patrol, I want you to look for if there is more than one person. And if you're 75% sure that it's a person, I want you to wait for the pilot to take over for 3 seconds before you move on, right? You could do things like call a webhook, send an email, a text message, or similar. But I'm just saying, hey, I want you to fly essentially a circle around this field, and I want you to stop, and maybe we could even say like 10 seconds and wait for someone to take over there. But we'll go ahead and save this waypoint route here and send it to the drone. Go back to our create plan. And then maybe we could have, well, I guess we have some people walking just outside of the flight area here that will probably flag, but we can just call this mission patrol. And then like we were talking about earlier, the ability, you can set this up on a regular basis, or we'll just set it up for immediate right now. One of the things with using the intelligent recognition is you want to have more of a horizontal gimbal angle rather than straight down, right? If you think about a person, you have a lot less to see with the gimbal being straight down, or a boat or a car, versus a bit of a pitch on the gimbal angle. So we call that like our optimal detection distance and angle to take the pitch of the gimbal up a bit there. So we've gone ahead and set up our mission here. Say okay, and send it to the dock here. And then we'll jump over to our virtual cockpit after this uploads to go ahead and monitor the flight itself. So that's all uploaded. We'll hop into our virtual cockpit here to monitor the flight. You can see, given the takeoff command there, as we load into our virtual cockpit. And that's going to give us a live feed of the drone. Basically, it's saying, hey, we have an automated route in progress here, so don't take control unless you're trying to interrupt the mission and take manual control here. But we can see the drone's kind of going to that first waypoint, going to pitch the gimbal down, and then it will go ahead and start a route around the field here. So likely have a detection there, kind of the gentleman sitting in the chair. We can go ahead and kind of say ignore and continue. And you can set up a time distance between detections as well, so you don't keep getting the same detection as well. Afterwards as well, you can set it up to take a photo if there is a detection. So you can see right there, another one as well. See a nice little green detection there. And it'll go ahead and upload photos of any detections during the mission. If there was a vehicle seen around the perimeter, you can go ahead and continue your operations there. So I took manual control in this case, as it did see a person here, and then go ahead and continue the mission here as it goes around the perimeter of the field. Right. At any point, I can ignore and have the drone continue on in its operation. And if you want to see like a video or demo of this at the booth afterwards as well, certainly happy to show you in more detail. So as we can see here, certainly plenty of detections as we come near the home point. So we'll go ahead and ignore that there, but we can always, pause the drone, return to home, and everything as well. This here is the virtual cockpit for the pilot, so very similar to the piloting experience you'd see on the remote controller itself. Right? Different options here, like the ability to drop a point with the laser rangefinder, turn on that laser rangefinder and get a detection. We can hop over to the people here and get a count on the number of people in the gimbal's field of view. We can enable the smart track feature as well if we did want to go ahead and do smart tracking on a specific person here. So you can see got the VO here on the smart tracking there. Yeah, let's do that. Yeah, Van, you wanna let me start the smart track? Okay. Oh man, you want me to smart track you? Let me stop that. Hop out to our wide view. Toggle over here to Van. Let me take the video quality down a tad. All right, Van, give us 1 second here. Use the arrow keys. Pop in and enable. There we go. All right, you're live. Yeah, Van, you want to try walking through the crowd or going behind something to lose it? Yeah, I guess maybe the soccer post will give you a little cover. Want to go in the trees? Yeah, over there. Yeah. Man, we put Van through setting up the whole event and then give him a track workout as well. So you can see it's going to visually keep looking for him, but it will go ahead and still initiate the smart tracking if it does lose him. If it is like a car or something and it just whizzes by and it loses it and it's still in that same location, it's going to try to keep the same gimbal momentum it had before losing a subject. But you can see that, generally speaking, even as he's going around the tree here, it's able to keep smart tracking him. I will say it is nice for the algorithm as well. He's wearing a red shirt. Does make life a little bit easier. Nice, good contrast. But that's certainly something you can think about as a pilot, putting the drone in a more advantageous location, and gimbal for doing the smart track itself. Yeah. It would be a good job with him if he's going around a bunch of people with red shirts as well. It would be a bit more challenging. But Van, we can have you come into the group here as well to show. Go into the crowd. Yeah, exactly. So right now it's going to be challenging, right? It keeps moving left because that was his last, and then I was able to pick him back up. But as he goes by, some other gentlemen in red, it's going to be a little more difficult for the camera to still track him. Doing a good job though on that. Well, it is using the zoom camera for the tracking, so you can see right now I don't have access to my wide or thermal camera, so that is a good point. You do have some limitations to your tracking. Yeah, so when we started the smart track, it is essentially collecting like basic details on the area you drew, and then it's able to keep looking for that as Van is moving. So we've done this with like spot robot before, obviously like yellow, robot. So you can really do this for anything. Essentially, you're giving it like a custom detection box, and then it's looking to replicate what essentially you've told it to smart track throughout. Yep. So that's there. We talked about the pins earlier, right? So we had this pin we dropped of our last known location. We could have the drone face that pinpoint that was dropped, and you can see it in AR on the camera screen. So if we go out to the wide view and you did have specific areas of interest, see this a lot on the facility or utility side where they're marking assets out. So as you're flying in the AR, you can see exactly where those assets are. And then finally here, we do have kind of your different ways to control the camera. You can enable what's called mouse look. So as you move the mouse around, the camera is going to go wherever the mouse is. And then you can use the arrow keys on the computer as well for smaller, fine movement of the gimbal. Even when the drone is in the air, we can go ahead and initiate a planned mission as well. So on the surveying and mapping side, maybe you want to get some site progress photos, and then after that, continue your mapping mission for the day. That would be another application. Obviously here on the right side, we can go ahead and trigger a photo. And then afterwards, if we wanted to, we can go ahead and upload a planned mission, to the drone itself for operations. Up here in the top left, we have our flight route library, so we could run that mission that we had made earlier for the dock, or we can run the mapping mission here on the control center as well. When the drone comes back to land, it's going to offload data from the drone to the dock itself and then push that to a cloud service of choice. So we're using Flight Hub 2 here, DJI software. So all the imagery will upload there. You could also set up your own AWS bucket for that imagery to go to. One of the positives there is if you're running repeated missions of the same location, collecting the same data, you can run change detection over time to see what has changed either in my 2D map, what has changed in my photos. So if you're taking the same exact photo by using the RTK of the drone to come to that specific location, you can easily compare change over time and have the computer help you out with some of that analysis work instead of having to individually look at all of those photos. So Asheville, North Carolina is one area we had a lot of docks deployed. And so through that cleanup work, that was one of the applications there and kind of more of the disaster response side of the house, mapping the river as it was cleaned up, and then using some of the automatic detection tools to flag where things had changed, more specifically debris being removed, whether it was cars, giant piles of driftwood, or similar. Anything else you all wanted to see on the dock side of the house before we send it back for the landing here? It's a good call there on the smart tracking with van. Awesome. We could. We have the emergency landing option here in the bottom right. So we could go ahead and do that if you wanted to land it outside of the dock instead of back inside. So do have that capability. You could also use a remote controller as remote controller B. So for some folks kind of building up to the beyond visual line of sight waiver, that is how we do see a lot of programs starting. Someone on site with a remote controller, building out the safety data, building out the operational history, and then moving from that to the pilot operating the drone itself. You will see when we kind of start to talk about beyond visual line of sight, our more or less geofence right here we've set up on the remote controller. So if I go ahead and try to fly out of that geofence, let me do that here. And I go forward. Yeah. Should have set my geofence a little bit closer. The drone will not fly out of the geofence. You can also set up no-fly zones like a tower or building in the area that you want the drone to avoid. So that lives on the flight controller of the drone itself. So even if you had a disconnection during flight, you have this tower that's directly in your return to home path, the drone is automatically going to navigate around that object and make sure it comes back to land safely. With the 400 and the 4 as well, just noting you could run your mission planning from the computer here, run that route to the pilot in the field, they can download it on their remote controller. And then you can also set up things like fly and no fly zones for those operations. So if you do have something where you have a waiver, you're nearby an airport and you need to stay in a specific area, you can go ahead and sync these fly and no fly zones from Flight Hub 2 to the remote controller in the field. So I'll go ahead and go down here so you guys can see the capabilities there. Yaw the drone a tad. Go ahead and increase our altitude. Right back into our flight boundary here. If I were not to have the drone return to home, one of the options you'd have is just to wait, and when it only has enough battery left to return to home, it's going to automatically initiate return to home from the drone to come back to the dock itself. So we'll see the drone coming back to the dock location itself here and coming down for the landing. So you can see the camera on the dock. We have one on the weather station on top and then one inside the cover of the dock itself, opening up. And then we'll see the drone landing back inside the dock itself. You can see where the fixed arms of the aircraft do come into play here. As it slides into the cradle there, the arms are able to stay elevated and the lid catches the propellers as it's closing. Like we did talk about, the dock version drone can be bought as a standalone kit, comes with its own charger, comes with its own case, all of that good stuff. And the benefits versus something like the 4 is the IP rating, 5 more minutes of flight time at 54 minutes of flight time, and then the ability to do an aircraft relay. So that is also one of the new concepts across the different drones here. One can use the M400 or the Matrice 4 dock version as an aircraft relay to another drone. So you can put the drone up at altitude and use it as a relay. It can automatically rotate to provide the optimal signal. So if you were in a mountainous area and needed to fly one drone further on, or perhaps in an area where your signal is degrading, you can use one of the drones being up in the air as a relay to that drone. So another benefit on the transmission side of the house for the drone operations. To close things out here, I guess that presentation ended up being on the other computer there. Just wanted to show you the media file library here from one of the patrols. So I guess this most recent one is still uploading. We can go ahead and hop into the information here. So you can see up there the person sitting down as the person that was flagged in the camera view. Same idea here. Got many people here as well. So it's just after the mission is done, you have the ability to go ahead and review data from the security patrol side of the house. If you're doing mapping, we can see all of the mapping files still uploading there. Here was one from earlier. Those PPK files are included, as well as all of the mapping data. What you can do directly in the Flight Hub 2 side of the house is immediately kick that over to start processing into a 2D map or 3D model, and then can see change over time as one continues to run those missions. So we'll have that over at the booth on my side if you did want to dive a bit more into the data processing from the Flight Hub 2 side of the house, whether it was individual images or processing of the maps and models. But in a nutshell, you can see the dock workflow there, enabling one to run remote operations wherever you have that internet connectivity, and then setting up the dock with the power and Ethernet as well to ensure connectivity between the operator and the dock. Wanted to leave the last couple minutes here for any questions you all had on the 400, the dock, the Matrice 4, or anything DJI as well. Yes, sir.
What's the exact features of the AI of the new features? Is there any other feature for the AI?
Yeah, good question there. So, feature 1, you can count people, cars, and boats in the camera's field of view.
Or even any object? Any object you can count it?
Just people, cars, and boats is what we have the algorithms built in for. But we do have an open developer ecosystem, so you could make your own model as well and run that on the drone. Yep. And then from that, you can set a confidence level for detections. You can run that in the visual camera or the infrared camera. And then you can also run it during a mapping mission for like a area search, or you can run it during a waypoint mission for like a perimeter security patrol. Yeah. Yes, sir. Can you modify the geofence while the drone is in flight? We don't recommend it, and it is not possible to do because of that. What it's doing here when you update the geofence, I'll actually show you it right now. You go into your fence section, and let's say I had a no-fly zone or a tower here. I wanted to add in the middle of the... Add a geofence here. Let's see. All right. There we go. We had a tower here in the middle. I go ahead and save that. You can see in the bottom left here, it needs to sync across the devices. So it actually takes that geofence and sends it to the flight controller of the drone. So it needs to be in the dock to initiate that process. But now at this point, if I did fly the drone over here and I did return to home, it's automatically going to go around that no-fly zone when it comes back, even if there's a disconnection. Yes, for 400 and the 4 series, you can add your own custom geofencing from the Flight Hub 2.
What's like the IP rating on it?
Yeah, great question. So IP55 rating for the dock and the drone itself. So built to be run in rain, snow, all of those tough conditions. It has a air conditioner and heat inside of it as well for climate control. And that's been significantly upgraded from the first 2 series. Awesome. Well, perfect timing there. Thanks for coming out for DJI presentation here. I'll be at the booth and with the products here for the rest of the day. So excited for more questions or showing you things in more detail. Didn't get a chance to see it during the demo.